because they have to come in and check the sirens, correct?
So it's part of their normal inspection?
Yes,
Just a thought, if a siren was non-functional, will any of that $1,000 annual fee help cover any expense to repair it, or will that be on us?
that's on us, since we own the sirens.
All right, is there any fail-safe where they'll know a siren's not working?
The computer will automatically register which siren is not working on the Wednesday test so that we can get it taken care of
So
immediately.
it'll know the.
Yes,
that's
it'll know
great.
that sirens are not working.
Great.
That's why the new transponders have to go on the sirens.
Awesome.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Riley, a second by Mr. Exley to approve the automatic weather siren and messaging system in the amount of $21,000. Line item number 216, 3500, 542513. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Mr. Exley?
Yes.
Mr. Baxley? Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
I'm going way back now. Ms. Taylor?
Yeah.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 3, new business, is request to approve the City of Rankins workers' compensation insurance with Georgia Municipal Association, policy period 1/1/2024 to 1/1/2025, at a total premium of $183,922. Mr. Lynn?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, Council, this is just our annual renewal. We do get our workers' comp services as one of those services that GMA provides. So we do opt in for that service, and I believe you guys, do they have this?
Yes.
You guys- So we do have the standard loss run report if you guys want to see it. We did have a couple of claims in the 2023 year that they were substantial. We had one that was over $100,000. We had one that was anywhere between $20,000 and $250. But last year it was $163,000. So we did increase a little bit, but that was given. We had the one substantial claim that was over that $120,000 number. That's what actually caused that to go up. So we do budget for the increases. I'm planning on something like this, so that is in the budget.
Mr. Lynn, I noticed that the invoice date was 11/28, and the letter to Ms. King was dated 1 December. How come we're seeing it almost 2 months later?
We had to wait for the new budget because of the way it works. So yeah.
All right. Just-
All right, any other questions from Mr. Lynn or staff?
And now, the Georgia Municipal Association is where we have to go through to get our workers' comp.
No, ma'am, we do have the option to bid out that service, but typically because they have so many participants in their pool, it becomes cheaper as a whole when you opt in with all the other cities that do participate in that service. It is optional, it's not mandatory, but we do get a better rate by doing that. We're a city of 112 employees, so the city of Savannah, for example, could participate with their thousands of employees, so it shares that rate among that group. So.
Okay.
We have bid it out in the past, and generally, GMA has always been the best.
Well,
So,
it seems like they have the municipal expertise too.
That's correct.
Make a motion, we approve.
A second.
motion by Ms. Taylor, second by Ms. Riley, to approve the City of Rankin workers' compensation insurance with the Georgia Municipal Association for the year 2024 at a total premium of $183,922. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Mr. Exley?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Riley?
Yes.
Item number 4, new business, is adopt a resolution imposing a moratorium on the acceptance, consideration, or approval of any new site plans for property wholly or partially located within the general commercial zoning district. Ms. Lewis?
I can speak on this one, Mr. Mayor. So we did have a request to start looking at our code requirements and the possibility of kind of reducing them. They were very stringent. If you wanted to be a planned unit development, you had to have at least 50 acres. Well, you know, a lot of the PUDs around that are becoming very popular with that live, work, play, you mix some residential and some commercial, some retail establishments, they're fitting at that 5 to 7 to 8 acre range, and they're doing well. So we're asking for the moratorium so that Terry can work through an ordinance revision to reduce hours down to that and also eliminate some of those uses you wouldn't want. But while we're doing that, we are asking for that 45-day moratorium on any new site plans that would come through that general commercial district, so that we're not having to worry about fitting anybody in or, excluding people that could possibly be a part of that. So we anticipate that to take no more than 45 days, and this moratorium just allows us for Ms. Lewis and their staff to get that ordinance changed, ran it through planning and zoning board and back through you guys for the 2 readings to get it approved and not have any new site plans coming through for the GC district. We did talk through it at staff level. We don't know of any that haven't come in yet. Some have already been submitted, and those would not be impacted because they've already been submitted at that point. It would be for any new applications.
So Jonathan, does this give us, this gives us a little bit more power to make decisions on what goes in certain areas?
That is correct. With a PUD, and by definition of a PUD, it is essentially the ability to talk through zoning and put certain requirements that you wouldn't normally be able to have by ordinance. You actually can have develop like agreement-based zoning where you'll agree to 90 units and this kind of commercial and do it by square footage, and that you can regulate it that way. That's exactly what a PUD is for.
And I think you can also discuss it, I don't know if you're following Facebook, I try not to, it's frightening, but right now, there's a thing going on in the Rankin community about the old KFC. Somebody posted the other day, said if you'll return it, nobody will be harmed. We're at KFC, the car wash, why we have another car wash? And really, we're kind of strapped to the ordinances. If they meet the codes and standards, we can't keep them from doing it. And PUDs would allow us to have more latitude in saying what comes in and what does not in some of these areas, but they would have to meet the PUD requirements, correct?
Yes, ma'am, and that intention is to go from the 50 acre, at least 50 acre requirement to at least 5 acres. So you're not imposing it or giving the option to a half acre tract of land. You would want a combination of several pieces of property that could make a larger development, and it wouldn't impact any small scale developments at all.
Perfect.
Any other questions? Any comments from the public?
What happens if
If
somebody,
you would state your name for the record, please.
Matt Spaccarelli, I don't have any skin in the game, I just wanted to ask some questions so that you could think about stuff. What happens if somebody already owns property and then those ordinances or zoning requirements or buffer requirements or setbacks change? Are those people who already own property grandfathered in? The reason why I ask this question is a friend of mine has property in Effingham where he bought it as industrial zoned. And when he bought it, there was a 25-foot buffer requirement. Then they enacted a 300-foot buffer requirement, which now really limits the 3-acre parcel to a very small area. So the reason why I'm talking now is basically just a concern that you think about the takings clause of the Fifth Amendment. I don't know if there's an attorney here or not, but if you restrict somebody's property through zoning, it can be construed as a takings, which doesn't have to be a physical taking. It could be an administrative taking as well. So I don't know if there's a grandfathered in type clause where if somebody does already own property that meets certain requirements, it's just something to think about.
And Mr. Spaccarelli,
Yeah.
just to kind of give you and everyone else a heads up, somebody will have to come to us and ask their property to be zoned as a PUD. This will not
Right,
change.
yeah.
So this doesn't constitute any sort of taking. They would come to us
Sure.
and ask for that. It's not going to deal with specific setbacks on any existing property.
Right.
It would be new development, and they would have to come to the city to request it be a PUD.
And when I saw this on the agenda, it doesn't say it's a 45-day moratorium. I'm thinking, how long is this moratorium gonna go? And when you're saying, oh, it's only 45 days, like, who cares, right?
Just long enough to
But
get an
anyway,
ordinance in.
I love the Constitution, and that's what, when I heard this, that's what I thought about is the takings clause, which is part of the last clause in the Fifth Amendment. So anyway, it's just something to think about when you're making those rules.
Thank you, Mr. Spucker. Any other comments?
Like I said, we got one coming from the back.
Sorry, quick question, Patrick Kirkland. Where is the general GC district? Because the way I read it, it said the GC district. So is that all of Rankin, or is that just all GC properties? I just want to understand what that is.
It would be all GC property, and any property that is owned GC right now cannot come in with a new site plan.
Okay.
Any site plan that would be with that general commercial district would be under a moratorium for that, only for that 45 days.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the public or questions from council? If not, a motion would be in order, and I would say maybe, just for clarification, as it's already come up, when we make a motion, that we make the motion so that it states that it's a 45-day moratorium.
I make a motion that we accept this based on a 45-day moratorium.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Underwood, a second by Mr. Blackwell, to adopt a resolution imposing a 45-day moratorium on the acceptance, consideration, or approval of any new site plans for property wholly or partially located within the general commercial zoning district. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Mr. Exley?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Riley?
Yes.
Item number 5, new business, is appointment of a City of Rankin representative to fill the vacant seat on the Effingham County Library Board. Do we have a recommendation from staff or council?
I think it's gonna be from council on this
Okay,
one.
I have a recommendation that we appoint Becky Long. Becky served on the Effingham County board and served as chairperson for them and served on the regional board in Savannah for several terms. She's got a ton of experience, and so I make that recommendation.
Second. If we're doing that.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, have a motion by Ms. Underwood and a second by Ms. Taylor to approve the appointment of Becky Long to the City of Rankin representative as the Effingham County Library Board representative. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Mr. Exley?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Riley?
Yes.
Item number 6, new business, is adopt a resolution of support for the city of Springfield in its continued efforts to combat noxious odor discharge from DRT plant. Ms. Underwood, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, I would. I've been dealing with the DRT issue for years and years. I don't know if any of you are aware, but when they first tried to open, they had a gasket leak that completely overran that whole community over there. And as a bus driver, my kids were trapped on a school bus with one of the worst odors you've ever smelled in your life. To the degree when we got to the school, they were ushering kids off the bus to try and get them into the buildings. It was so bad. And they said then that was a one-off and it would never happen again. And here we are 5-6 years later, still dealing with it. And the city of Springfield, it's their jurisdiction, but it affects us all. And you know, I feel like when it affects our children, it affects all of us. And our little ones can't fend for themselves. They expect us to put the things in place that protect them, and that's what Springfield's trying to do. But just so you know, to put in perspective, Ebenezer Middle School, Ebenezer Elementary School, Effingham Career Academy, Effingham STEM Academy, Rankin Elementary School, Macomber Park, and the playing fields at First Baptist Church where our children play and go to school are being affected by this. And it does affect us, it does affect our citizens, and there's not a lot we can do legally, but this is just a stand of solidarity in our county to tell Springfield that we're with them. And so that's why I make a recommendation that we accept this resolution.
And my dad lives down Ebenezer, past the circle, the roundabout, way going towards the church. and you could smell it way down there. So it's getting out.
It's becoming more pervasive, it's spreading further. We're concerned with the forever chemicals that someone shared with me that term the other day that might be in this, that whatever they're admitting, and, you know, until this is found out, we all need to be concerned, and, you know, and this is just something we just need to do as a community, to stand up against it. You know, and I salute Springfield for what they're doing. I talked to, Mr. Corbett today. He told me that, Effingham County has already taken a stand with the city of Springfield. I know that Guyton's looking at doing something similar, and I think it's just a good time for our county to come together and wrap around each other for this common goal.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're doing some of the things that they're doing is releasing at night, trying to make sure that people are in the bed. So some of that release is coming late, and people are telling me that they're up or they're on shift work, and the strongest odor is, you know, after midnight. So a lot of that is coming, you know, they're trying to get around things by releasing at night. So, you know, just something to add to it.
Yeah, and look at your air quality on your phone for Rincon. If that tells you anything.
Well, and this is a facility that's located in Springfield, but, you know, when you have things like this, things like that, odor such as odor, they know no boundaries or no barriers, so it can affect way beyond the facility where it is, which could impact all of us. Did anyone have any other questions or comments in regards to this matter? Anything from the public?
What is DRT?
Yeah,
Is it just a company that produces chemicals?
They produce
It's-
chemicals.
Yes, it's
I didn't
a,
know that.
what do they produce?
turpentine.
It is a turpentine.
Okay.
It's supposedly,
And this is the plant that's like across from where Love's is, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, that's
so it's in
exactly what it is.
between Springfield and Rincon?
Right.
That's right.
Okay,
That's
I just didn't know what
Those
it
people
was.
have a Rincon address. Their address.
Right, no, I just,
Yeah.
I was trying to look it up, but I didn't know if I was looking up the right thing. I didn't know what DRT was. So it's like a chemical producing,
Yes.
Turpentine.
okay, gotcha. I got it, turpentine,
All right.
acetone or something, right? Gotcha.
Yes.
Didn't know what it was.
All right, any other questions or comments? If not, a motion would be in order.
I make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Underwood, a second by Ms. Riley to adopt a resolution of support for the city of Springfield and its continued efforts to combat noxious odor discharge from the DRT plant. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Mr. Exley?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Riley?
Yes.
All right, moving now to item 6A, new business, is approval of a renovation work for the Montgomery Park restroom facilities. Work to be done by the Atlantic Commercial Construction in the amount of up to $35,200 from the SPOS fund. Mr. Lynn, you want to just give us a brief overview of the work and what's being done?
Yes, sir. Everyone knows that we've had the restrooms and what we call the old side of Montgomery Park in a severe state of disrepair for quite some time. While we know that there's a larger scale project that will need to happen in Montgomery, we know that we can tackle this one and it needs to get done right away. So we did bid this project out 2 different times, one on September 12th and then one again on October 25th. Once we were able to run it twice with no bids, we were able to solicit at least get some quotes to get this moving forward as required. So what you have before you are those 2 quotes. I am recommending Atlantic Commercial Construction in that amount of up to $35,200 because their quote is more comprehensive than the other quote. It allows us to reframe doors, tear everything down, get the, I don't want to call it digital, the motion sensor, hand washing stations, toilets, urinals, that sort of thing, and the equipment will go in order to not be destroyed. Right now, when there was some conversation about possibly looking at doing block partitions, So that's the difference between the prices. So we buffer that in to see which one we want to go with, just to give us that option. But the prices now are for stainless steel, so they're sturdy materials in themselves. So if we do block walls, that's when that price does jump up. Block partitions, that's when that price does jump up a little bit.
You'd think it would be the opposite, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
A block is concrete, I mean, the stainless steel,
Yep. But you know, Michelle, the block is permanent and it's labor intensive.
Yep.
But, you know, I agree with the block. I agree with the block because it's foolproof. I mean, you're not gonna bust it. And it'll
or
be
hang
solid.
on it.
That's right. And that's what, you're absolutely right. And that's what happens to that stainless steel, where it's shot into the concrete. You wiggle on it and all of a sudden it busts from the concrete and now you can't put nothing else back down there.
Right.
And I agree with
If we're gonna do it, let's do it right.
And if we,
So this quote is for stainless steel, you don't have a quote with
No,
concrete
and
wall?
I talked with the contractor today, and that's why I said, hey, if you go up by this amount, it will cover. That's why we're up to the
Okay.
35,000.
So we're really looking at, I mean, like $1,500.
That's what the goal is.
Yeah.
We couldn't guarantee
Okay.
that, so being able to do that, and we did have this money allocated in this current year's SPOS budget for
Yes.
Parks and
Good, I'm so excited about that.
He said they
That's
could be,
been terrible.
it would be about a 4-week project at the most, so.
well, and they do it right with block, they could literally go in there if they need to with a hose.
Yeah. And when does the work start?
He said give him about a week from the time we give him the go-ahead. and
Oh, wow,
we'll be ready.
so we can get going on it and get it done.
It will definitely be ready by
So
fall,
that'll-
it'll be ready by fall season.
Yeah, that'll cover our ball
It
season.
will, yes, sir.
I make a motion, we approve.
Second. Oh,
You better let Mona second that.
Patrick Kirkland
Hey,
again.
Patrick.
Did we get cameras put up? Because we can get all this work done and they can still destroy it. They can paint it, they can do all kinds of stuff. I would really like to see some cameras
well,
there so
one of the
somebody
things
can
that
see
we're
it.
doing, Mr. Kirkland, is we're locking that park down. So
Understand.
we're gonna get cameras, but we're also that park is not gonna be a 24-hour access park. It's gonna have a fence up front that's locked, just like the new section down there is locked.
So you know that gate at the first field, I don't know the field number, but the one right by the parking lot, that one is open. I drove by there
That's
one
right.
night on a Saturday night, it was 11 o'clock at night, and there were folks inside there, so
That's
that is,
Yeah.
but we still need cameras up. People
yeah,
are
you
gonna
gotta
jump
have
fences.
cameras.
People
Well,
are gonna jump fences.
the scope of work will have to get all the entry fences raised to a higher level and get gates. If you
Is that in this one?
Not in this one, but the scope of work coming next.
For the next
So-
phase.
The next
So we
phase.
do have a second phase where EMC is helping
And
us design
then
everything
Patrick,
on the outside.
we're going to redo the lighting under the concession stand there, so when you put cameras up, you can actually see, maybe even do some motion sensor lights, so,
Yeah, and I think
I
one of
think
the,
Patrick's point though is if we're gonna spend this money now,
yeah.
how are we gonna protect
Oh,
it?
yeah.
So the bathrooms are gonna be locked at night.
Yeah.
They're locked now at night. At a certain time, the bathrooms are locked. We don't leave them open.
Spring break
And
is
in
coming,
the
you know,
past-
that's when kids are out of school, that's
Yeah.
when the problems.
well,
come.
in the past, you also had a problem with Wi-Fi. And that's gonna be one piece to this is because we didn't have Wi-Fi able to reach out to field 6, 7, and 8 on that backside. So the cameras really didn't work like they should.
Did we not get the cellular cameras? I thought we had
They're
gotten
still
them.
on back order.
Yeah.
We had ordered a pile from Verizon, where we should be
Yes.
a data plan for a camera. and send it
That's
to them.
right.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Yeah. So that'll,
Security is top of the list.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Me again. I enjoy that park in the middle of the night at 2 o'clock in the morning. I go to the parking lot and walk back and forth along Lexington because I put my headphones on and I
The
watch.
parking lot, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
the
You can
move.
still
So
walk.
that won't be affected.
Okay, I was, because you're like, oh, we're
She's
gonna
getting
lock
to
it
the
down.
fields and the-
Where you
Right,
go
right.
to the fields will be locked.
Right, so, but if you want, I mean, I'm there almost every night at 2 o'clock in the morning, just walking back and forth.
Just report it to the
PD.
Rankin Police
Yeah,
Department.
right, but sometimes I see people pull in, but they don't, they just kind of hang in the car, but anyway. When you said we're gonna lock it down, I'm like, it's nice and smooth and
Yes.
I don't have to look for signs, and I'm just like this, going back and forth. Once I did 8 miles there, just,
Yes.
so, cool, nice.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Mr. Exley?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Riley?
Yes.
Item number 6B, new business, is approve the trade-in of a 2017 Mercedes CID vehicle and a 2010 Honda Civic CID vehicle for the purchase of a 2019 Chevy Tahoe from Lincoln Chevrolet in the amount of $20,500. Chief?
So what I forgot to get you to add to that, Mayor, was purchase from condemned funds, which is all seized funds. The two vehicles being traded in are seized vehicles, not originally purchased by the city or awarded through the courts through drug cases that we made. So this is not money coming out of our operational budget, it's coming out of our condemned funds.
Thanks very much.
We started having problems with our Mercedes, and I said this from the beginning, when we started having those Mercedes problems, I didn't want to pay the Mercedes bill.
Right.
So we've already had a fuel system problem twice, where inside of the car reeks of gasoline, got it fixed. And then this last bad storm that we had, Detective Ron got in our car at the house and the passenger floorboard was full of water. So maybe a sunroof problem, and also could have been some seal on the firewall that was allowing water to leak in, but I'm ready for it to go before we start getting those high dollar problems.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Yeah.
Thank you.
A motion by Mr. Exley, a second by Ms. Riley to approve the trade-in of a 2017 Mercedes CID vehicle and a 2010 Honda Civic CID vehicle for the purchase of a 2019 Chevy Tahoe from Lincoln Chevrolet in the amount of $20,500 from condemned funds account. Any other question or discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Mr. Exley?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Riley?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Question, Mr. Perkins, generally we have administrative reports in our agenda, and we do not tonight. I don't know if it's needed, Mr. Lynn, or can we hear from our staff if we need to hear?
Yeah, and I am, excuse me, I would like to update the board behind me really quickly.
And I have some questions for Terry.
And I have a question for Jonathan.
All right, so let's start.
Sounds like Terry and I, yeah. All right. Well, just a couple quick things before I hop to the board. Happy to report that we do have a lease that the mayor signed tonight, so we'll be in possession of a fully executed lease for the Greenside Bar and Grill to open at the
Yes,
golf
sir.
course.
Not bad.
Their anticipated open date is approximately April 1st, so they'll be open in time for the Masters. How fitting is that? So, I was able to go with Terry and David to Ace Hardware last week to do one of the final walkthroughs there. So they're really close to opening, and I highly encourage everyone to go in there. I was blown away by the other Ace Hardwares I'd ever been in to see what they had done inside this one. So
When's their grand opening?
they don't know yet. They're still working through some software stuff. Remind everyone here, because we will not meet again, if you're attending Cities United, that is coming up this weekend in Atlanta. And then the following weekend, starting on Sunday, is the annual Effingham Day at the Capitol as well, if you're attending. I'll send out some itinerary details to the groups that are going probably tomorrow. So. All right. I'll try to hop through this board really quickly and speak loud enough for everybody to hear me. So up here, we call it the George Avenue, the alley there. So we have sent out the letters to the property owners. They were sent out January 10th. We did have Ben and Bobo take a look at those letters to, remove liability from homeowners, making sure they don't take anybody out. So we're waiting on them to come back. Once they come back, we can start the deed process with you guys to do that and get that approved. Picket fences, temporary evacuation plan. That plan is in place. The door hangers have been delivered. And Chief Reed will be having that meeting at the rally point for all the residents at 9 a.m. on Saturday, February the 3rd. If anybody has any questions, let us know. It's just going to be a quick meeting, let everybody know what the plan is. If something happens while we're getting all this in place, meet right here, we will get you out, period.
Thank you for that, Jonathan. Thank you, Chief, for that.
Thank
That's
you.
important.
Old Augusta City property, that's that property you guys requested of us to get cleaned up so that we could access that larger piece of property we have. They were uncooperative. They got a 30-day notice. They didn't do anything. They have been cited. They'll be in municipal court on February 22nd with their citation. They do have the option to clean it up by then. That's what we want them to do. But if not, they're going to be in court. Rec director, it's still pending. We'll talk about a little bit about that later. Hire city attorney. I did send you guys what we've gotten in so far just from a job ad. If you guys would like me to go ahead and put out the RFP to solicit, essentially contracted city attorneys, and we can do that. I don't know that anyone was ecstatic about what we got in. The response was about what you would expect. So, new picket fences evacuation plan. Still working with the IDA. There's some things I'll need to report to you guys back, but we'll not do that here in a public meeting because it may pertain to some property stuff. So, I'll let Terry get up. She can handle a couple of these. Patriots Park, they were supposed to be out over the weekend to finish it. I had not been since about 4:30 on Saturday afternoon. I did send a picture out that they have boxed over the inclusive orbit so that whatever the hazard that was there is gone. That hazard has at least been blocked off for now until we can figure out how to replace it and with what to replace it.
We
So
would say we
I
just
saw the
raise it
box
up.
today,
We just
Jonathan.
raise it up.
And they had
Yeah.
yellow
Like a
caution
record.
tape,
Yes.
and I'm not sure who put up the orange
that Tim put up the correct construction nets for us with.
orange construction net to block off access, but you can, it's easy to get through, but
Now, you
no
can see
trespassing.
if you go through, you know now. So that, I'll get y'all an update on that. The hiring of the assistant to the city manager, started those interviews, we're starting tomorrow. Today, actually, I'll let Terry talk about the code enforcement officer. Working on guidelines for advisory boards as requested. We look to hopefully bring in a grad student from Georgia Southern. These are the kind of projects they do or to develop these guidelines for us. So I'll be speaking to Georgia Southern's MPA program on February 19th. So that's when we'll hopefully have a definitive on when we can get somebody in and get them working on that project, because they want you to have them for about 6 weeks to give them experience on the project. I know you all are soliciting candidates for the IDA appointment. You still have the hospital board and public health that will need appointments from you all. JC Park cleanup. Thank you, Tim and his crew.
Yes.
I asked him to clean it up.
Yes.
And Tim said everything. I said everything. If you can look out there, he said the only thing that's got damaged so far is the tailgate on one of the trucks.
Dump truck.
Dump truck.
Jonathan, on that, one quick question to Tim. I was by there while you were working today and,
I seen
okay? I just got one question, yeah. I noticed the crepe myrtles, that we mowed them down or cut them down right to the ground level. Are those stumps gonna be removed? Good, because I know those things will sprout back out if you don't remove the stump.
everything coming is gonna be clear cut.
Okay, just check.
I'm not doing the trees. The trees a little bit too big for me.
Yeah.
So the positive economic plan, step one is to get the PUD in place, and then we'll be able to kind of branch that out from there. So that's just gonna be an ever ongoing project. It's gonna be ever changing. Water reuse line at the golf course, just now in the planning stages of that, and we'll hopefully get a meeting with Tim and people to see, and Tommy to see where we need to connect and what we can do to talk to those people at the golf course. So that's,
On the reuse, did that meter ever get corrected or repaired so we can get a accurate reading on it?
Replaced, didn't it?
We have I'm sorry.
yeah, we have a golf course superintendent.
Yeah, Mr. Superintendent, I know that's something that we've been asking about for 6 months or so.
Joe Moore.
Yeah, Joe.
I do have a meter in the pump station that I'm taking numbers. That's what goes out in my pump station. So I do have accurate numbers
That
for
goes out
what we use.
Of the reuse water, that's what we want to see
Yes,
on
sir.
those monthly.
I'm keeping track of it. I take the numbers weekly and I'll have it month to month.
Which is not
much use right now.
Not much use
No,
right now, no.
I'm running a little bit here and there trying to get rid of it, but not much right now.
And checking the system too.
Right, exactly.
Because I know there were some issues with the systems of.
A lot of issues.
Thanks, Joe.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And then, the Macomber Park revitalization, obviously the first steps are the bathrooms, and then now we'll, working with EMC, getting a larger plan for what's on the outside together. And then once they do that, we can start doing the pricing and figure out how to work the financing. on how to get that done. I'm preparing the master plan to put out for RFP to do a Parks and Rec master plan. There's really no specifics to go in there. You put that out, you list the properties that you're intending as well as additional areas you could identify for Parks and Rec. And it'll be very similar to a UDO process where you have public meetings and you get stakeholders in. So once that goes out and comes back, we would ask them to come make presentations to you guys to see who we will want to select as the provider for that. Both the personnel policy and the job description compensation study, the pay and classification study, are both out to bid now. The personnel policy manual is due on February 12th, and the compensation study and job description component is due on February the 14th. As well as a grant writer, that is pending. I'm hoping to maybe find a candidate for the assistant to the city manager that has some sort of grant writing experience that could kind of fill that role for us simultaneously to doing the other things. So, other than that, I'll stop and ask if you have any questions, because that's a really big board.
Any questions for Mr. Lynn?
Yes, I thought we were gonna discuss the library stuff. The bid, are we gonna discuss it? No? Okay.
John, we put in a large capital, like with, infrastructure that's running behind that we should have.
If you let us know, we can add.
Well, that 7th Street project is way behind. It's been funded and everything.
So it's already funded, it's just behind on work. Who's doing the work on that project?
We've been doing 7th Street with them.
Oh, so it hadn't even started?
There were some right away acquisitions.
for
It's
2 years.
It's the next phase, it should have started 2 years ago, so.
That's
Funding should have
We'll add that,
started
we'll add that.
Yeah, we can get it on there and talk about it every week until it gets going, or every month.
AMC's got all the paperwork done, it just probably needs to go up to bid. There may be a couple of easements they have to get, but, I mean, if they own a grinder pump, we've already got an easement up to their house anyway.
And because they've been, and it's gonna be worse. Tim's been patching that road, it's deteriorated. You can go out and just spoon a knife or something and pull sections out of it. And then also, Merrill, we noticed that for some reason, they're coming off Blanford Road, wants to cut in with log trucks now. Not coming out of the development area back there where they're cutting.
They're not logging that?
No, they're not logging that. These are coming in off of, from the, Blanford Road. And cutting through on Stokes Avenue and coming through.
Oh, man.
Wow.
That's not rated
Such a
for
small
trucks.
road.
There's no
No,
sign.
it's not,
I
it's
don't
not
know
weight
why you
for
would
trucks.
want to do that.
I don't either, unless they're trying to go.
It's just somebody, they realize shortcuts. And what's available, they takes it.
Is it possible to put some no trucks,
You got tractor.
some no trucks type
Yeah.
signs up?
That-
on some
that's
of these roads?
If we do that, we would have to do that by ordinance, to regulate vehicles on certain roads. I think there's some legal requirements that I would defer to Merle and Ben on where you can and can't have.
I think they already, those were regulated. And what they do, Howard Avenue is the street that they're supposed to use for any development or working on, used to be international international paper property. And the timber and stuff like that. They're supposed to come in on 9th Street to Howard Street, take Howard Street back in and go into that area. Howard Street is designed for heavy load.
And I did have one more update, and Ms. Taylor mentioned it, and I'll just bring it up. There's not really anything for me to update you on other than just to tell you about it. So we at the library board meeting a week or so ago, a packet was provided showing a lot of damage, mold, mildew inside some of the walls at the library. The county fully expects, they fully expect and are willing, they're gonna pay the price to fix it. They sent a quote, it's about $54,000. They were getting ready to do it, and when they came out there to finally do the work, they noticed that there had been when the roofing was done last year, there was a new membrane on it, the leaks are gone. They want the project to run through us, but we need to get with the company that did all of our roofing to make sure that any work is done is not gonna violate any warranty on that roof. So once it's done, we will manage the project, the county will pay for it.
So that's the reason why they want us to manage the project?
That's the only reason they want us
Okay,
to
I
manage
got
the
you.
project, and they're gonna pay for it, that there's no issue there.
Okay.
They just want us to management so that, and make sure we coordinate with that company to make sure it doesn't impact our warranties.
Yeah.
That's all I have on that one, but I'll have more information.
And Jonathan, I know, and Ben, maybe this is for you as well, but I would also like to look at putting something in to look at an ordinance for a right lane only for trucks coming through town. I would assume that.
So we've already done that.
Right on.
Yeah, I would assume that would be an ordinance.
Actually, I think Ben and Merle have talked, and we don't need a specific ordinance for that, right? We just need the proper signage. Is that my understanding?
State code should cover it, especially under the slow law. But we could get more specific in the verbiage on
Yeah.
what vehicles need to be.
Yeah, I think that's what
With an ordinance.
Yeah.
We can put signs out
You wanna tighten that
That's my
up. You
take
want
on it. I
that,
mean to step on the toes then, but.
yeah.
And speeding.
Put outside.
Just ticket.
That signage up. That's their road.
Yeah,
That actually does need to be added to the to-do list as well.
Yeah.
That taken care of.
yeah.
Any other
We're getting
questions?
there, getting there.
Mr. Lynn?
I have one more, Mr. Lynn. I've been speaking to some people that's called about the, and I know we had this conversation to email, but ball field rental. You know, we had talked about an amount, and we had talked about right now, there's currently 6 teams wanting to schedule. So I can get with you tomorrow on that, but.
As long as there's no objection, it would fit within our fee schedule for the ballpark to, you know, for those teams, we charge them about $250 a season for those travel teams, because that's about $50 per field. That's what we charge on the weekend or we used to charge. We did go up, they would come out, they would have to practice around our schedules, and let them know that ahead of time, to put that in place. Because we've had some issues with some travel teams just going out there and turning lights on and leaving them on, and not actually going through the rental process with us. So this allows us to generate a little revenue, but also support those teams.
And also the season is not the full year. Seasons being, I know the county had this in place, seasons was broke up by like 3 months.
Yeah.
So it was 3-month seasons, so you had fall, you had spring, summer, and then each one of those seasons required you to re-up the $250.
Well, it's gonna be more than that.
Yeah, well,
So if that's, I'm just letting you guys know before.
I mean,
It follows our fee schedule.
yeah, and I get you wanna charge more money, but you have to look at what, you know, everybody around us is
Right.
doing.
Yeah.
You can't go out there and charge $600 per team
Yeah.
if everybody's charging $250, because then you won't have them.
We're talking about practice times,
I
These
know,
are practices. Yeah.
because we need to charge more for tournaments too.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
hopefully they'll get, I wanna add something, Jonathan, and this might be a Terry thing, because I got some stuff for Terry too. And Levi might wanna speak to this, because I know he lives over that way. Over the holidays, my daughter's moved out to Timbergate, so we're going out that way, and every morning she's coming in about 6:30 to bring the kids to me. And her and all the other moms that live out that way come into Rankin, and they're talking about how dangerous it is. There are people walking along the side of that street, not on the sidewalks, out on the sidewalks, but on the side without the sidewalks. And she's had 2 different occasions, someone's almost stepped out into the street. It's dark, you can't see people. And they were telling me that we need to at least get some street lights up along Ninth Street so it's better lit. And I've noticed coming through there at night, it's dark out there on Ninth Street coming through. So we might want to look at some more street
Why weren't they
lights.
on the sidewalk? I mean, that's
It's just,
stupid.
so,
And we
but
can,
it's a dark street. I mean, the street's really dark.
You got your sidewalks only started at Stokes Avenue and moves in.
Yeah, and a lot of these people, she said, looks like they're maybe trying to walk to 21 to catch a ride, or,
That's what I looked at.
So it cuts off.
That far up,
That's
I thought you were
yeah,
talking about
yeah,
And
further
then it
down.
cuts off, but since that development out there, across the tracks out there, it's more foot traffic and bicycles than you can imagine.
She said there's a lot of it.
Was there ever a plan to continue on with the sidewalks?
Well, we
Yes,
talked
and-
about-
Yeah, we have it already mapped out. Yeah, they've already done engineering on it.
Oh, okay.
But it wasn't.
Yeah, so we, that's what I was asking, Terry, we're lacking,
To 21.
we're lacking one easement, authorization on Ninth Street to do that sidewalk
To
project.
continue with the sidewalk?
And then the sidewalk would run to 21.
I'm not,
Stop the railroad track.
Side
Yeah.
railroad track. Yeah, no.
so just one easement, that's all we need at this point.
I think we could at least look at.
And that project's
lighting on
already
that
funded as
road.
well, so.
Well, somebody we were talking about that a while back about street lighting, about lantern type street lighting.
Right,
That would be nice, if,
yeah,
got to that point.
yeah, it was.
I'll ask you.
We applied for the community improvement grant and use it for lighting for Ninth Street.
I don't see why not.
Or the block grant.
No, that, you can't,
The block
you can't use it for
You
lighting.
can't use that for lighting?
It's infrastructure and housing,
Okay.
yeah.
There's gotta be something.
What do you mean, like T-spots, dude? It's your lighting sidewalk.
Yeah, there's looking.
Yeah, T-Splash sidewalk.
Any other
We'll look at it.
questions from Mr. Lynn?
No.
Planning and zoning, Ms. Lewis?
All right, so I am super excited about our UDO, to give our UDO update. We had a kickoff with the consultant almost right after y'all approved it, and she has just been running with it. So we meet every other week. She's sending emails with ideas and, kind of drafts of different things. The first of the stakeholder committee meetings are gonna be in early February. And then we're looking at doing an open house, which y'all will be invited to as well, in early March. So once I have that date pinned down, I'll certainly let y'all know.
Is Megan working on that?
So no, not for the UDO, for the comp plan update, I'm working with Megan on that. So that was the next update I was gonna do. So at your next meeting on February 12th, I'm going to bring y'all something to ask you to approve us working with CRC to get through that update process for Rincon to have our own comprehensive plan. So she went ahead and sent me a schedule that gives us a little bit of leeway in case there are any roadblocks during it, anything where we need to add in a couple extra meetings, so it gives us a little bit extra time in there, but I do need y'all to approve us working with them. She listened to us. We're not having them do the whole thing. We're not doing the whole thing ourselves. We're gonna work together and each have different parts of it that we'll take on. And then, let's see, code enforcement officer. So we completed interviews today. We're going to do the next step, which is doing background checks and checking references, and then hopefully we'll have a code enforcement officer in place very soon.
Did you send out a job description on that?
To y'all, excuse me, to y'all?
Yes.
I did not, but I can provide that.
If you would, please.
And then the last thing that I was going to update you on was, since we already talked about 9th Street, was the 7th Street utility project. So that's another one where we are working through easements. I've met individually with several of the homeowners in that area and listened to their concerns. We met with EMC, talked to them, and so they've made some changes to the plan to try to have less of a direct impact on property. So where they had some of these lines going through the middle of a property, because it was a vacant property and it might have impacted future development, they've pulled those more to property lines. They've tried to pull them away from existing development, so they're finalizing that. And then I expect that once we go back out to the owners that have not signed off on easements, that they'll be ready to sign off on those, and we'll be ready to move forward.
So they're reworking it now, the drawings?
I've sent them all of the, they sent me updates, we looked at them, they had questions on some of them, I've sent that back to them, and I expect them to be complete with that in the next week.
Any other questions from Ms. Lewis?
Terry, I didn't want to blindside her. I talked to her early days, so she's expecting this, but I just want to do it in the open, public forum. I just want to throw a few things that maybe we could research and look into. The first being greater buffers and easements along our creeks and waterways, especially our state protected waterways. See what those are, see if they're adequate, see if we need to increase them. We need to protect our waterways, especially now that we're dealing with the problems with toxins and problems possibly with water resources. So if you could do some research on that and give us some suggestions, or are we good, whatever. And then the second one, codes and ordinances. Could you do some research to see what we could do about creating some codes and ordinances which would prohibit forever chemicals, toxins, and some combustibles from being allowed in GC or industrial use or manufacturing. And also maybe, I think it would be really great if we work with the county and the other municipalities so there's consistency across the board, that we're all working on the same guidelines, so no one, because it does us no good if we do this for Rincon and Effingham lets it come up to our border. And I did talk a little bit today to Andy Carville. He thought it was a good idea, and nobody can commit if they're willing to look at it. Wesley thought it was a good idea too. So if you could do some research on the possibilities of that. And then the last thing I have is the property at the corner of 9th and Hindley. It's the old Richard Kessler house. Whoever's bought that, they've cut down those gorgeous trees, but now I've noticed over the last few days, there's boats in there, there's trailers in there, and it's starting to look really rough. So if we could see what we could do about making sure that doesn't become another.
It looks like somebody's living there.
It looks rough in there though, and I mean, we don't want another situation like we've got in some places. And then make sure that codes and ordinances, there might be something already that they can't store boats and cars and stuff like that in a general commercial application like that. They're gonna have to, especially along our corridors and things, I say this all the time, guys, the Disney effect is real. Disney wants you to have pleasing to the eye before you ever get there. And what people see is important in our city. And we want people to, if we look good, we'll feel good as a community. And we don't need people coming in and buying property and trashing it. I mean, so that's mine, Terry. Thank you.
John, don't we have with the water quality and stuff like that, aren't we in agreement something with the coastal program? For water quality, water quality.
Yeah, we do water quality monitoring.
Yeah, but that's part, I think that's part of what the county and the cities already supposed to be doing, but don't we be a part of something that does that?
There's a Coastal Regional Water Planning Council, consists of about 10 counties, and they're all part of the planning of the water systems within the areas, groundwater quality, a multitude of things in regards to that. So it's an oversight committee that addresses all of the concerns of water, whatever the source and whatever the possibility of contaminations are.
And I think we're paying them, what are we paying, by population?
Well, no, I don't think we pay for that board.
Okay, we don't pay for that.
But we have representation on the board. I'm on the board, and Reggie Loper from the county is on the board, among others, many others, from all over the area. What you may be thinking, the regional commission is what we pay a fee to be a part of.
Terry, that might give you some guidelines as well.
Well, and I think the thing is that we need to make sure nothing's encroaching on those waterways. That if our buffers and easements are set in place for that.
And kind of going to what Michelle said, though, you can have all the buffers in the world, but if your air quality is off, we really need to be looking at something with that, because that has no boundary. It goes how far the wind will take it.
And I think that's I don't know that we are able to test that, but that's where we bring in EPD.
Right.
That's where they start doing their point source
EPD,
pollution testing.
federal
Yeah,
EPD.
there's a lot of emissions regulations for somewhere like that we definitely rely on.
But we're learning as county as a whole, as we're dealing with DRT, is that there's a lot of fallacies in that too. That, you know, some of these things that they're giving permission to, like DRT, you know, you see what we got there. So, trust but verify.
All right, next, Police Department, Chief Merle.
Mayor and council, I'm available for questions. Aside from that, kind of happy to say that we're holding our first RAD training. RAD stands for Rape Aggression Defense. This is for the public. Detective Ron kind of took it upon herself to not create this class because it's actually created through RAD. You have to follow their curriculum. You have to follow everything that they do. But she took it upon herself to implement it. And her first class is started tonight. It's a 3-day course. And I believe she's got 12 people signed up. She had a whole lot more interest, but she's trying to keep it small. We also got Officer Gonzalez trained to be an instructor too. So it's good community outreach and takes care of all our women. So, girls going off to college, and I think the minimum age is 15 is allowed to attend that class, but she is talking about trying to tailor it for a younger crowd because she got a lot of interest for a younger crowd too.
Yeah, what about the older crowd?
No limit,
No, I'm-
no age limit, just the minimum.
Say going to college, going to Tanger Outlet, I mean, goodness,
Yeah, I know,
anywhere
I
you
know.
go anymore, you gotta know how to take care of yourself.
I thought it was good though. She's done a great job with it. So.
I mean, I have my concealed carry, but, you know,
Very good. That's a good defense.
yeah.
I don't have anything else unless you guys have
Question,
questions.
Chief Merle.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Fire Department, Chief Reed.
I don't have anything, but I'm available for any
Any
questions.
questions for Chief Reed? All right, Public Works, Mr. Bowles.
I'm available for any questions.
Mr.
I
Bowles.
don't believe it. He just stood up and didn't say a word.
Timmy Shaw.
Any questions for Mr. Bowles? Rankin Golf Course, Mr. Bessinger, Mr. Moore.
Mayor, council, I don't have a report for anything. I'm available for any questions. I don't know if Jody has.
Same here, any questions y'all have for me?
Questions for these gentlemen? All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
Anything from council members?
Thank y'all for what y'all done with the driving range and all. That's really nice. Thank you. Yeah, and the painting inside the clubhouse looks really good. I love it. And once we get the bistro there and get everything and then get everything painted, and I'm excited. Thank you.
The public and members are also excited. So that's very, very nice. Thank you for doing that. We appreciate it. It'll be great.
Getting there. Almost complete.
Anything from other council members? Do we have a need for an executive session?
Yes, sir. Personnel, please.
All right, I would entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Blackwell, second by Mr. Scott for an executive session, discuss personnel pending litigation, attorney-client privilege and real estate. Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Sunwood?
Yes.
Mr. Exton?
Yes.
Mr. Blackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Ms. Wright?
Yes.
Thank y'all for coming.
I don't see it. Doing good. I want to do it again just so I can get what you're quoting.
Oh, they got plenty on there.
What'd you say? I'm sorry.